All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. And after quite the week for NFL head coaches, we're finally going to get into it. Let's get into the wild card preview. Now, of course, the way the NFL lined up the schedule, it opens it up for me to start this off again. But obviously, we'll both be jumping in, so it doesn't really matter. So, start off with the first our opener in the. It's usually going to be the AFC 4-5 matchup, and this is
Yeah,
definitely a great one in the Texans and the Browns. Christian, I believe this is our only disagreement going into wild card weekend. So
I was
definitely,
really heavily leaning into Houston, but
no, yeah, I see the same way. It's
yeah, I was
this is
really
like the
leaning
only
to it,
game. Like
but
at the end of the day, it's like
yeah,
we you gotta pick one. But like I'm gonna
yeah.
go into
I mean,
this game
realistically,
against just.
it's gonna be a W outcome for the both of us,
Oh
regardless
yeah,
who wins the
no,
game.
and
For,
that's
for
what
this
I'm
game, it's gonna
saying.
be great.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going into this one like I don't mind who wins. Except I mean, once we look into my graphic, I do have something heavy going into this one, so we'll see. But I mean, it's definitely gonna be a great game. I mean, see the runaway rookie of the year, CJ Stroud, against the story of the year in Joe Flacco, and I think the main thing that's gonna come to play into this game is gonna be the turnovers. Joe Flacco kind of
Yep.
gets stuff with. And I mean, look
Yeah.
at the secondary in Houston. I mean, sure they're not, they're not the highest, the craziest, but I mean they're definitely sneaky good. I know we say that about a lot of teams, but you could definitely say about Houston. And I mean, sure he'll get his touchdowns, and I think this is gonna be a shootout, but. I mean, against that Browns defense too. I mean, it's no joke themselves, but I mean the determining factor that I see regardless in this is we saw they played a couple what was it, week 15, 16, and we see the Browns won, sure, but it was without
Yeah.
CJ Stroud. And when
hmm
you throw CJ Stroud in the mix, I don't think it's gonna be
Oh
much of
yeah,
a
it's gonna be
debate.
a
I think it's a
completely
runaway
different game.
Houston win.
Yeah, and obviously, with this one being our only disagreement, regardless the winner of this game, it's gonna be a W outcome regardless for the both of us. But obviously, it's lots of time for these two quarterbacks. Obviously, I talked about Joe Flacco and the turnovers that's really gonna cost them. Houston being I want to say sneaky good team. I say that I will say a sleeper team. Coming into this wild card game and with their young defense and that how the offense could get going with CJ Stroud and Nico Collins. But CJ Stroud. I think there's gonna be another test for him, especially in the playoffs. Him going against a really top defense, so that's really gonna show how what CJ Stroud can really do. And now moving on to probably one of the next big games, which is an understatement, with Terry Kill making his return to Arrowhead, and these are two teams where a lot of declines have been happening. The Chiefs, they've been on the decline with their offense not really going how they're going to. Travis Kelce not looking like the top tight end that he claims to be. Receivers leading the league in drops, which I've thought over a lot of times, but really it's gonna be a really great start for here. Tyreek Hill, see what he can do. But same thing with the Dolphins here, man. They're not good against teams above 500. Sure, they beat the Cowboys, but still, I believe what now their record is 1-4 in the
I mean,
in the
yeah, I mean,
season. 1-4, one and
lots of
five.
losses,
Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, it's just that Cowboys game, which I mean, sure, that
yeah,
Cowboys game is a big indicator, but you also look at all the injuries they have right now, and I mean,
yeah.
even with those injuries, look how they did against the Bills. That was a great sign that
Mhm.
they were in it. It's just the momentum swung the wrong way at the end, but I mean, you never know right now. I mean, sure, they're looking off right now, but you never know just
Yeah,
because
that
of how
Bills
they
game
play the
was
Bills.
yeah, that Bills game with them, it was looking really tight then, but it just didn't go their way. The momentum was more towards the Bills, and that's kind of where Miami struggles a bit. I mean, it's Tua, I tend to defend him sometimes, but when he's just making those stupid throws, turning the ball over, Tua turned the ball over, coming back, in his roots, that's kind of where it's a little iffy because I mean, Tyreek Hill can only do so much, but Tua is just another example of a quarterback where get to his face early, put the pressure on him like early in game, and he folds under pressure. Sure, he can make some. I've seen him make big plays. He's under pressure. He could notice the pocket collapsing. His awareness, it's there. Don't get me wrong, but too much pressure on him, and Tua, he starts to be iffy, and that's what we kind of saw. That Bills defense was really getting to Tagovailoa. The outline was really getting beat most of the time, and we saw the outcome of the game. But same with Kansas City. The thing with Kansas City is their defense. It's been on a huge I literally just lost the word right now, but they've been on a steady streak, closing in midseason. That defense, that's really the story with the Chiefs. They've been a little iffy, but that defense is what's really going to help them against Miami, and that's really going to show once again, the Dolphins' true colors of once again, it's playoffs. These teams are above 500. Who knows? Could Tua make a miracle? Could Tyreek, have his revenge game against Casey? Really, anything could happen. Script writers cooking up this game, but it's going to be a really good one to see.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the thing too, and just you mentioning how the Chiefs defense has kind of been, back on the rise little by little. You can definitely, I mean, that's going to be my determining factor. And I know we both have the Chiefs winning this game. I think you can definitely say, the way these two teams have been going, this is kind of the perfect matchup for both of them. Kind of aside from the Steelers, probably this is the matchup they probably wanted, and it's definitely going to be a great game. But we both got to see the Chiefs winning. And the final matchup into the AFC wildcard, moving this one into Sunday, we got the Steelers and the Bills. Now, obviously, Steelers shouldn't even be here. In all honesty, they kind of just stumbled into the playoffs. I mean, credit to them. 3 wins to finish out. It took a Jaguars collapse, but they did it. They're in, and I think it's it's no contest. It's going to be a pretty sound Bills victory. I mean, they'll make it close. I mean, they'll put up a fight, but it's definitely gonna. I mean, Josh Allen's gonna run away with this. Team's getting so hot right now. I mean, everything's clicking. Remember what we talked about back around maybe week 10-ish. It was the big issue on the Bills defense, and little by little they've definitely been picking it up, and we see how they shut down the Dolphins last week, holding them to only 14 points. And just as a whole, I mean, that Cowboys game, another game to really grow their stock, and they're definitely.
That was a must-win game. I mean, they started 6-6, and from there they ended up winning the division with, let alone Miami having a 3-game lead. In that Cowboys game, a lot of people expected the Bills to win, and they did, because they were going to fight angry. They couldn't afford another loss, and from that's kind of beating the Cowboys. That kind of pushed the momentum more, because they couldn't afford to lose another game. The momentum was there.
That's the thing, they ran the table.
Yeah, exactly. They ran the table, and they put up a fight against all these teams, and they won where they ran it the most against this Dolphins team.
Which I did say, struggled. I don't remember when I did mention it, but I told you if they pull out that Cowboys game, there's nothing holding them back. They'll definitely run the table, and they're probably running away with the East. So I'll give me my credit there. I did say that's what would end up happening, and look at what happened.
Yeah, a lot of things to go with this Buffalo Bills team. Pittsburgh, sure. I mean, George Pickens, sure, he had his little resurgence, towards the end of the season, but George Pickens, he tends to go sometimes, and that's kind of the thing with Pickens. Really, he was just a quarterback away. The coaching, make all the excuses you want. That's really Pickens. He is the receiving core of that Pittsburgh Steelers, but Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are really making a big up in that run game. They could give the Bills, defense a little bit of darkness here and there, but it could be a good game between both these two teams. But with Josh Allen, once again, it's his turnovers that it could really cost them against a Pittsburgh pass rush that can really get him. But they would be without TJ Watt, so that is going to be a really big difference maker. And now we're moving on to my game. Dallas Cowboys playoff. That's Cowboys playoff time, man. I got a lot of mixed feelings about this, but I'm really confident coming into this game. I know our friend is a Packers fan. I'm not trying to hear him for the next 2 weeks. So obviously there's a lot of factors to pull here. I mean, first I want to get started with Tony Pollard. Sure, he hasn't been living up to the expectations that we have in a running back one. Most of his success was carried up Ezekiel Elliott since he was the running back 2, and that's kind of where everything was pushed on towards him. Obviously, I'm not gonna blame him too much because of the injury he suffered against the Niners in the divisional last year. Really did take a toll, but hey, still managed to crack 1,000 yards, made history with the Cowboys being another running back. So props to him. But this Green Bay team, it's not a Green Bay team to be slept on. I would say they're I guess a sleeper team it is with Jordan Love picking it up. And as I said earlier in the season, Jordan Love was really going to turn this Packers team around. And if he didn't this season, it took another 1 or 2 seasons. But, lived up to what I said. And Jordan Love was getting it really done. And, but the big difference here with this is their defenses. Obviously, Dallas defense, they're claimed to be a top defense. Sure, they look like to pick it up, in the last 2 games against the Lions and the Commanders. Not really much to say about the Commanders, but Dan Quinn's really going to be the story of this playoffs. Is if the defense can get going, they're on their heels. Play calling is superb to the max. Dan Quinn is exactly doing what this is doing early in the season. Less soft coverages. I understand we're really a zone-based defense, and that's where we really thrive on man coverage. That's where we're a little iffy on, but when we contain it against this Green Bay team, get to Jordan Love's face. Really, another example too. Jordan Love, get the pressure on him quick. The receivers, DeRon Bland and Stephon Gilmore, he's looking good to start the game. Really big game from those two on defense. And then Jordan Lewis, I'm really giving his props now. I've been defending Jordan Lewis for so long now. I mean, sure, I have my little complications there with him not living it up, but Jay Loops in 2017, really loved him. Huge underrated player on the Dallas Cowboys team. He's going to be a really big difference maker at our nickel. Really love to see it. And then Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb going to close it off there. That's going to be another difference maker. Get those two going early, and it's going to be lights out this wild card match. But hopefully, they don't troll and play with my feelings like they do every single year.
I think the you're ignoring the big factor, and it's that Packers defense. And I think when we're talking about sure, they I guess in a way they lucked themselves into the playoffs. They probably shouldn't be in here too. That's what we always say with the 7th seed. Once they expanded the playoffs, it's kind of been we look at it like that. But I mean, they definitely, they fought their way and they did what they had to do, and it's all on Jordan Love. If anything ends up happening, it's going to be all on Jordan Love, and we see how he just completely thrived this season. And if he wins, it's going to be in spite of that defense. If it ends up being a Packers win, it's going to end up being an absolute shootout, and we'll definitely. It's going to be a great game regardless. But of course, we're both going to be going with the Cowboys. And of course, now into my game. Nobody thought we'd be here, but look at us now. The Rams are in the playoffs. I told you from the start. I said 7th seed, and look at us here in the 6th. So
exceeded expectations, man.
By far, really exceeded expectations. The rebuild is far ahead of schedule, and obviously this is probably the matchup of the week here with the Lions and the Rams. Matthew Stafford's return to Ford Field. Sean McVay against Jared Goff. Just all the storylines just stack up, and I think the main factor we're gonna look at here is the defenses, and we look at both. Both defense aren't nothing too special. And we were talking about this the other day. It's probably going to be a shootout, and it's both of our secondaries are going to get cooked like crazy. I'm expecting Darion Kendrick to blow a bunch of coverages, but I'm also expecting Matthew Stafford to really expose the Lions secondary, and that's something we're going to see some big plays. We're going to see some blown coverages like what I just said, but there's going to be a lot of points scored. And I think a big thing is with the Lions. Sometimes they can struggle on that run defense too, and that's why I'm expecting Kyren Williams to be a big factor in this game as well. I'm thinking all the young guys I'll just say young guys because most of them are rookies, but Kyren's a second-year guy. So on defense, it's going to be a big part of the rookies that if they can contain Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, I think that's going to be a big recipe to success, because I'm expecting Amon-Ra to go off. I'm going to just say that right now. Just easily expect that to happen. But above all else, it's the wonderful story of Detroit making it back to the playoffs at home in 30 years, but I think this experience is gonna be a bit too much for them, and we see it's one of 2 Super Bowl winning head coaches. Both of our teams come into this playoffs with the only Super Bowl winning head coaches, and I think that's going to be a big factor going into this game.
Yeah, also another thing to look at. You're talking about these 2 defenses, sure. The Rams defense, it's young, it's still improving. A lot of good players, it's still a pretty decent defense. What you guys did against our team, we got that close game against the Ravens. That defense can live up to the expectations. Obviously those 2 defenses between the Lions and the Rams, they're not far apart from each other. They're kind of neck to neck, but Rams got a little bit of ceiling there with with your pass rush. Really, that's really the focal point of the Rams defense. And Green Bay, their defense, sure, they may have looked a little good against my Cowboys, but offensive mistakes make defense look good, but obviously that's pretty irrelevant. But looking more into whichever defense can get a stop not early in the game, but whichever defense can get a stop, if it is end up in a shootout, you can really just go that way. Obviously that's pretty much another understatement you can say, but really with the Lions defense, I would expect Cooper Kupp and Puka with Cooper Kupp, obviously not the season he expected to go to, but especially Puka Nacua with how big really 5th round. I think he was a 5th round still, right?
5th rounder, yeah.
5th round, yeah. With Kyren Williams as well. Those 2, they're really going to be a big factor coming into this Rams game. And obviously, we both got the Rams going. And, once again, it's going to be another great game between both these 2 teams. And finally, closing off with the, I believe it's the 4th seed, the Eagles, the 4th seed and the 5th. No.
Bucks against the 5th seed Eagles.
4th seed Bucks, 5th seed Eagles. Yeah, so
Monday night. Let's see how you feel about a Monday nighter in the playoffs.
Yeah, hey, man, we're getting football. I could care less. It could be a freaking Wednesday if I could.
It's better than Peacock.
We get football.
It's better than the Peacock game.
Way better than Peacock.
I don't know how we didn't get into that there, but that's such a
let's just throw that.
in the NFL.
Tiny little in there. Peacock in the playoff games, it's pretty stupid. Just put them in the regular broadcast channels, man, wherever it has TV. But obviously, throw that to the side now. But now, looking into both these 2 teams, obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning with 9-8 in this NFC South, probably arguably probably the worst division of the NFL this year, and then the Eagles. Started 10-1, finished 1-5 their last games, ending up 11-6, falling from the 1 seed, which had I believe was a 99% chance at the 1 seed and to take the NFC East, and then they dropped down to the 5th seed. So it's really not a good look for this Philadelphia Eagles team. Obviously, that defense, I called it from the beginning of the season. This defense was really gonna tremble. It was really gonna go through a hard decline.
I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that, because I know I still had some belief in them, but I'll tell you that you got me on that one.
Yeah, so give my flowers there, but I really call it from the weapons they lost and the injuries that also killed them. That team is gonna really have a strong defense. That's really gonna be the reason why they're really gonna struggle in this game. And then looking to the Philly offense, obviously there's bad blood coming in with this offense. Obviously the AJ Brown, call him selfish all you want, but obviously that final game still congratulating his teammates after that game. After his injury coming out of that game against the Giants, but obviously he can be a diva sometimes, don't get me wrong, and obviously Jalen Hurts, he's trying to feed him the ball as much as he can. Obviously he's sharing receptions with Devonta Smith, but
the big thing about Jalen Hurts is how is that finger going to be going into this game?
Yeah,
obviously we don't expect that to sideline him, but I mean, there's definitely concerns that will he be affected by it?
Yeah, not even Jalen Hurts. We're still waiting on the status with Devonta Smith and Darius Slay. So 2 big weapons on both sides of the ball is really going to affect both these teams. And then obviously looking at this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, obviously that monster, Mr. Consistent, you could say, Mike Evans. He's gonna have a generational game against this defense. I mean, let's be real here. I mean, Mike Evans, he's been underrated his whole career. I mean, playing with I wouldn't say no-name quarterbacks, but obviously quarterbacks not at a high caliber. With him doing this, just imagine what he's gonna do to this Philadelphia Eagles team. Obviously with Baker,
I really hope Jameis.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's why I don't want to throw shade, because I love famous Jameis, so obviously he got his problems there, but I really hope this game with Baker, it's looking how he played against Carolina, I really hope it's not another decline game for Baker, with how he's been at a steady decline this whole season. So this could be a big statement win for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, man. It's really good luck with the Philadelphia Eagles. Could this be at stake for Nick Sirianni's coaching? Could he be ended up on the hot seat, or could he just be warming up? Lots of things to play here. Right. But I think with Tampa Bay winning this game.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the thing here. I mean, like what you saying about Sirianni, I think a loss here definitely puts them in the hot seat next season. But if they lose like in embarrassing fashion, if they get blown out in this game, you could definitely see him probably getting fired. And of course, we'll look into. I think what you said about Baker. I'm always saying how streaky he is. We saw those 2 bad games. The way the season is going, he's due for a good one. And I'll put all my faith in the fact that he's gonna have a good one. And listen, just looking at that secondary. With that secondary, it's what I said about Goff and Stafford in the last game. He's gonna cook that secondary, and there's no other way to look at it. And that's a big reason why we both believe that the Buccaneers are gonna come out. Although you have your own biases to set aside. But of course, that wraps up our little wild card preview. Now, of course, you already know what we think in the wild card. Our graphics for our official playoff bracket are gonna be up now. So obviously, I mean, it's a little far off. I guess the AFC side is a little far off to what we expected, but a lot of similarities in the NFC side for each
bias,
of us.
But
I only got 2 teams wrong, and that Saints one almost came to fruition. But I mean, let's start getting into this. I'll open it up, and now this is probably not gonna be a little like too in depth, but of course, we'll start this from the divisional round. We already really give you a lot of depth on the wild card round, so let's just get right into it. Top of the bracket, we got the Chiefs at the Bills, and I think it's no debate here the way we've been talking about them. I mean, sure, it's Mahomes in the playoffs, but he's going on the road for the first time. I'm gonna have to say the Bills finally get it done against Mahomes in the playoffs, and they'll be back in the AFC Championship game. Bottom of the AFC side, Texans, Ravens. Now, this one I kind of mentioned to you. The Ravens scares me a little bit with how they fared in 2019 when they had the 1 seed and rested players. I'm not fully expecting this to happen. I think they're gonna come out a lot stronger than they did in 19. But I have a lot of belief in CJ Stroud, and I really do believe he's gonna pull this one out. I think his rookie legend is just gonna continue to grow, and I think he's gonna will the Texans into the AFC Championship game next season. And in that AFC Championship game, I do expect that magic to run out, and I expect the Bills to make it to the Super Bowl. I know this was my preseason pick last year for them to get to the Super Bowl. I had the Bengals in the Super Bowl this year, but I expect the Bills, after just a surprising, really off way to start this season, they'll be in it. And into the NFC side, Bucks, Cowboys, no debate. I'm gonna have the Cowboys now. But Baker's not going into Jerry World and winning, so I'm not gonna give too much analysis. I'm sure you'll have something to say in that matchup.
Yeah.
And Rams Niners, a rematch of Week 18. I know. Say what you want. They played. They played there was backups again. Backups. I don't care. The Niners played a lot of their starters, but let's not even get into that. Call it my bias, but I have genuine belief that the Rams can beat the Niners starters, especially from what we saw in Week 2. So I'm gonna have the Rams in the NFC Championship game against your Cowboys. And I don't know, Christian. Would we consider heading to Jerry World on this one?
Let's just
spend $1,000 on that.
Yeah, let's just blow a couple $1,000 on some seats. No big deal for two guys like
remake.
us.
We'll put up that picture down here below us. Remake that NFC Championship game picture from a couple years back.
We'll remake that picture from freshman year. It's time to actually, put it together from freshman year high school.
And of course, I think this is where my delusions fully come into effect. I believe we're going into Jerry World and winning. I definitely can see it happening. And I'll just say, all this, it's if everything goes right. It's if everything goes right, because there's definitely a chance for the Rams to do this.
No, yeah.
So I definitely believe them to do it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna blame you on that. The Rams.
I have genuine beliefs
wonderful shot. Yeah.
I really think they can. It's just everything has to go right. So there's all that goes into it. But I think they can do it, and I think the Rams can definitely have a shot into the Super Bowl. Will all this happen? Probably not, but I have to have all the faith in my guys. And of course, This is the Super Bowl that I predicted last season. Last season I had the Rams going back to back and beating the Bills. I think our magic runs out. I think the Bills are gonna win the Super Bowl. That's gonna be my. I think the Bills win the Super Bowl. That's gonna be my projection.
Yeah. So now, obviously, a little bit of delusion there, but it's okay. I got a little delusion in my bracket as well. But no, we pretty much had an even bracket. Also, obviously, going past the wild card, obviously, Cowboys Bucks. Got my Cowboys winning that. Obviously, like you already mentioned it pretty clearly there. Baker, I really doubt he's gonna cook in Jerry World. So just hopefully another masterclass for my boy Dak Prescott. And then obviously the Rams Niners. Got the Niners moving there, sure. I really, it's gonna be for that game. If it does happen, it's gonna be a good one. Like you said, from Week 2, it was a really tight matchup to begin with, but the Niners' momentum really shifted there. But Rams still a decent shot there. And then at the AFC side, like I said, the Bills, with their momentum, how they're going, they just, they don't want to lose. And this is where Mahomes, him on first time on the road in the divisional, with how lengthy they've been, this kind of opening rights for Chiefs fans, Mahomes finally losing in the divisional round. And then Browns, Ravens, two pretty good defenses, two really top defenses, I should say, actually. Understatement, you can say as you will. But, Lamar Jackson pulling it off against, in a very close one against these two. And then, Cowboys, Niners, once again, Cowboys, we breaking curses this season, man. And finally going to beat the 49ers after them owning us for the past couple years. It's good to see. It's going to be a really good game between both these two teams. These last two playoff matches, they're really good games, obviously. But that Cowboys team, lots of complications now. This Cowboys team, the momentum, everything can go right, man. Obviously, my bias is getting into the way, but with how Dak's playing, with CD's playing, this defense finally getting on their heels, and then Tony Pollard can get the run game going, and this O-line, if they can really give Dak Prescott time in the pocket, all in the playoffs, really consistent, a lot to happen. And then the Bills and the Ravens, Lamar and Josh Allen, probably going to be the better game of the championship.
This was your original AFC championship.
Yeah, this was my original AFC championship game from the beginning of the season. So obviously, got the Ravens winning this one. I think the Bills streak's finally going to come to an end here. Maybe on a heartbreaker. Who knows? Maybe it goes to OT again, and something happens with Josh Allen again and keeping his streak going on, losing in OT. But I got Lamar winning away with this one. That defense of the Ravens probably going to get, into the heads of this Buffalo Bills team. Still going to be a good game between both these two teams. And a Super Bowl pick now, Cowboys and the Ravens. Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson. Two quarterbacks where, their legacies are at stake here. Lamar Jackson, who's going to has the potentially going to be a 2-time MVP in his young career, but doesn't have a Super Bowl to show it. Then obviously Dak Prescott, the star on the helmet, the quarterback of America's team. All this tenure year hasn't had any success in the playoffs. All the stats show he's a great player, but more towards on him since he does play for the Cowboys. So a lot of pressure for both these two quarterbacks. And once again, it's gonna be so great. It's gonna be probably I'm gonna call it right here. Probably gonna be one of the best Super Bowls in a decade. Obviously from Chiefs, Niners, Rams, Bengals. It's gonna be one of the best ones here. I got the Cowboys, winning this one on a really good game here from Dak Prescott. Maybe another game-winning drive or another great defensive stop against Lamar Jackson. But it's gonna be a tale of two big defenses, a tale of two big offenses, and Dak Prescott's gonna finally get his one ring. Delusion here. Call me a delusional Cowboys fan. I've been real all season. I don't care.
Yeah, I told you. I remember, when we started talking about this. Let it flow. Let's enjoy this. We can make genuine arguments for all of this. So why not? And I know mine's probably a little even more if you're thinking about it. But hey, look at the way the Rams are playing. They're one of the hottest teams right now. 7-1 to close out the season, and what was only lost on a blown call against the best team in football. I definitely have a belief that this can happen. Will it happen? Probably not, but I believe in this team. Of course, that closes out this video. We'll see how wrong we are come February, and we'll see, at least with the wild card, we'll see how many of these picks we actually get right. So get back here Monday morning for our wild card week, super wild card weekend recap. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. We'll see you guys back soon.